how was the joint practices for you, and how much of your stuff were you able to really kind of get into that?
All of it. It was, I think I'm a firm believer, I don't know if I could say this forever, but definitely the last few years, I think the joint practices that you're able to do, which is kind of a trendy thing that people are doing now, and at least our philosophy, why we like to do it, is that it's a controlled environment, right? You get to work on exactly, specific things. And, we've pretty much consistently all training camp, we've gone pretty much 3 really hard days of practice, just when we're working Packers versus Packers. So we've gotten our ones, for example, our starters, they've gotten 3 really, really good days of practice. The great thing for us going against a phenomenal offense. But then specifically last week on Wednesday and Thursday, our guys being able to go against another offense, another personnel, other plays, other formations, different tempo of offense. So I think it was really, really good. Up until Wednesday and Thursday, I thought it was great, the work that our ones were getting in practice on a daily, weekly basis. But then to get 2 really, really good days of work, again, in my opinion, much better than having them go out and play, 2 or 3 series in a preseason game than pulling them out. So, we've gotten 3 really good weeks of practice, which has been great for us, obviously, being brand new, putting a new, implementing a new system. To me, it's been what we've been able to get on the practice field at a full speed tempo. The last 3 weeks has been great, and I'm fine with, if this is what you're asking, compared to them, playing a couple series or a quarter in a preseason game. I feel it's the work that we've gotten the last 3 weeks against our offense and the Jets has been phenomenal.
So when you've taken to installing the defense at a new place, whether it was you as a coordinator or even when Brandon or whoever came in to where you were, what mileposts do you look at and figure, all right, we are where we need to be or we're not? Like what shows up where you can tell,
Well, our mindset right now is, and we'll take the approach even this week, we're still in a training camp mindset, so, and what I mean by that, I think we, of course, as the week goes on this week, we will spend some time with the Buffalo Bills, but to me right now, our mindset has been obviously from OTAs, even though it was still a shortened somewhat off season. The OTAs, the training camp, even this week, it is about daily improvement every single day and taking advantage of every meeting, every walkthrough, every rep in practice. So we'll take that approach again this week. And I think I've said to you guys, the main thing is that we're just making improvements, even if they're subtle improvements. They don't have to be huge leaps, but as long as we're making improvements, we talk about, hey, let's walk off the field 1% better than we walk on it. And we've been doing those. We've been stacking blocks every single day, taking advantage of every single meeting, every single walkthrough, every single practice. Again, I'll say it again, for us defensively, it's a phenomenal opportunity every single day to go against our offense, because it is a challenge every single day. And then to get those two days of work against another colored, helmet, was phenomenal. So I think that's the mindset, that's the approach, and if we take advantage of this week and just keep stacking blocks, I love where we're at.
Hey, Joe, communication, you talk all about it, in the secondary, how valuable are those teaching lessons from some obvious communication last second, looked like very chaotic situations in the secondary, one that cost you a touchdown yesterday?
Sure, and I think the great thing for not to get into, starters or backups or things like that, because, we talk about here when you're on the field, when you're one of the 11 guys, whether it's in practice or a preseason game, when you're one of the 11 guys on the field, you are a starter. So we have to conduct ourselves as a starter when we're out there. But it was great life lessons, full speed rep life lessons for those guys. And that's the other thing, I think we are, at least our approach is that, as I just went through with our starters, with our main guys, the bulk of their work is getting, full speed practice reps, whether it be against our offense or the joint practice against the Jets. But, yesterday, just like against Houston the week before, what a great opportunity for guys, we're really evaluating and looking at, the last 20 to 25 spots on our roster. And it's great opportunities for those guys in full speed live situations to show what they got, whether it's playing defense, whether it's playing special teams. It's a invaluable, at least from a evaluation standpoint, for us as coaches. So, we're finding out a lot about guys.
Joe, so going back to Rob's question, I was saying this to Matt earlier, like, even though it would have been vanilla stuff, like, when I started covering the league, you kept track of, all right, here's how much the starters played. They played 11 series. Here's what they gave up. How do you get a feel for where you guys are at when your guys aren't playing in the preseason? It's great that you got all that work against Aaron and the number one offense and the Jets, but do you have a good feel for where you are as a defense?
Oh, yeah. You guys got to understand that, when we go out to practice, our starting, our ones, our first offense who practices against our first defense, through a course of a practice, you're getting 40 reps a practice. And it's all situations. We're obviously practicing, every situation that goes throughout a course of a game on a given work week. And like I keep saying, compared to if you go out and you play your starters, hey, we're going to play our starters the first quarter. Well, they might get 8 reps, So we believe, and again, all 32 teams are different, as far as their philosophy, but our belief is we're gonna tax these guys during the week. We are gonna, so to answer your question, I feel that, we can, from an evaluation standpoint, from a system standpoint, we can find out exactly where we're at because, our guys are, I don't want to paint a picture by any means that they're playing a game every single day in practice, but they're walking off that practice field where, they're getting anywhere from 35 to 45 reps from third down to red zone to 2-minute to, all situations. So that's where I feel that, and again, we're really not going to know until, the ball's kicked off on Sunday against, the Saints. But I think that's with every team that even chooses to play their starters, whether it be a set number, hey, we're going to play our starters 10 snaps, or we're going to play our starters a quarter or a half. You still don't know until, the real stuff happens when the season starts.
Anything else?
Wow, that was easy today, guys. Really?
Is Eric a guy that you're viewing more and more as a starter, or do you still see Kevin kind of being on top of that?
Eric Stokes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's I'll answer it. It's kind of and we have been, Kevin's been getting more and more work. He got some work last week against the Jets in a red zone period. So it's and I think Kevin will start getting more and more, we just talked with Flea. I think we're going to be able to get a lot more out of him this week. But in that, with the practice time that Kevin had missed, especially the first couple weeks, what an unbelievable opportunity it's been for Eric, And I think I mentioned this in here before, last time I talked to you guys, for him to go against number 17, not every rep, but a high percentage of reps. You can't create that anywhere else, So I think it's been great for Eric to get that work. But absolutely, in this league, you can't have enough corners. So I love where 21's at. I love where Ja's at. It will be great to get Kevin back into a full-time role, hopefully this week. But shoot, it's I've always said you can't have enough pass rushers and you can't have enough cover guys in this league.
Is there a competition there, or is Kevin your top guy?
I mean, guys, I want what we try to create on a daily basis and everything we do here. It's all we don't have guys that are it's competition every single day. So we have not set who the starters are. We haven't announced that yet. We don't have to yet. So every single day it's competition, no doubt about it.
So, Joe, even though you haven't set the starters, from the outside looking in, it would appear that most of them have not played, except for Chris Barnes, who has played, obviously.
Yeah.
Why has it been important for him to get that work as a communicator, and how do you think he's done?
Now, are you talking about Barnes or are you talking about Stokes?
I'm talking about Barnes.
Repeat your question again?
Since he's obviously your green dot guy.
Yeah.
Has it been important for him to play in these games? Well, a lot of the other guys haven't.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, with Chris Barnes specifically, Chris Barnes is a young guy. He was an undrafted rookie last year that never went through a real training camp and a real preseason. So, I mean, that's the main reason. If you really want to get into, like, with Dre, Dre's started 80 some odd games in this league. So that's why we've chosen not to play DC and to play Chris, just because of the fact that he's a young guy, and I think he's played somewhere between 10 and 12 plays the last 2 weeks. That's why. But again, and that is the great thing. Again, back to the practice part of it. That's the nice thing, at least with the green dot. On game day, you're limited to how many green dots you can have. On the practice field, all of our linebackers have the green dot, just so they can. When we're in practice, they can go through that experience of hearing, my voice and hearing the call and then having to communicate the call. So, again, another reason why the practice field is so important, if you look at that standpoint from, the coach to player, correspondence that goes back and forth from a communication standpoint. So.
Let's go to Zoom. Sarah, go ahead.
Just one in here, Aaron Ayler.
Coach, what have you seen from Jack Heflin? I mean, we've seen and heard a lot about TJ and the job he's done.
Yeah.
Draft pick, you probably expected to get something out of him, but it sure seems like Jack has really kind of made a case for himself these last 2 preseasons.
Sure, no doubt. I'm glad you've noticed that because, our whole coaching staff does a phenomenal job, but specifically, Jerry Montgomery does a great job with those guys. And, TJ's had his ups and downs in practice, and with TJ specifically, it was good to see him respond and play a little bit better than he played against Houston the week before. But Jack's a great kid. Jack was an undrafted kid that we brought in here, and when you as a coach, when you look at those undrafted guys, you're just looking for daily improvement every single day. And he's been a kid that's been here. He works unbelievably hard every single day, and it's cool to see him from at least from the production sheet, from a production standpoint, really show up. And he did another great. He played well against Houston, and that's what we're looking for, at least in the guys that we are playing in the preseason. As I mentioned to you before, it's all about evaluation, and it was great to see that Jack is making improvements from week 1 to week 2, and he certainly did that yesterday. So it was great to see.